Hey guys, it's Stone Fair here, bringing you a Battlefield Bad Company 2 commentary. I said a couple of weeks ago that I would focus on perhaps doing a couple more commentaries. I know that generally I post uncut videos, and a few of you have said that you want to see me do commentaries. No idea why, but I said I'd do a couple and see what I felt about them in general. So this is a Bad Company 2 commentary. I'm going to be discussing the game as well as some of the weapons and so forth, and just going to see where the conversation takes us. Today we're playing Valparasio Rush on PC, and I am on the attacking team. Quite a good attacking team, actually. This wasn't my first game that I'd played on this server, and the team that I was on were really quite good. They were very objective focused. It took them a while to get there sometimes, but they were very objective focused, and for me Battlefield really comes into its element when all the gears are working together. The wheels of the machine are all going. This was one of these games where the team were working as a team. I was getting revived and everything else like that. And that's really when Battlefield comes into its own element. I don't think when players are focusing so much on the objectives and working as a team, I don't think that any other shooter can compare to it. It is a fantastic experience when things are played like that, when Battlefield is played in the spirit that it's meant to be played. In my own opinion, Bad Company 2 is a very fine game. I played Bad Company 1 on the Xbox 360 quite a lot, and that was a fantastic game. I don't think I've ever put as many hours into a console game as I did Bad Company 1. As a sequel to Bad Company 1, it's a tiny bit disappointing. Some of the maps aren't amazing, and Bad Company 1 had some truly excellent maps that I wish we had seen in Bad Company 2 as sort of like a Harvest Day Oasis map pack style thing. Harvest Day and Oasis, incidentally, were fantastic Bad Company 1 maps, but I feel that something was lost in translation to Bad Company 2, and they don't quite feel as, for lack of a better word, magic. Other maps that come to mind are End of the Line, which was fantastic. It was a huge map. And Final Ignition. Final Ignition was sort of more infantry focused than vehicle focused, but that's fine. I do like mixing it up with vehicle and infantry play. A lot of the times I'll be on a map that has quite a few vehicles, but it's nice to have a little break and go infantry. And Valparasio is one of the maps that is more infantry focused. There's not a huge emphasis on vehicles, unless you can get a fantastic team in the Black Hawk, and then everyone rage quits. Which, speaking of, our team had taken 2 bases to this point, and were really gelling, but the opposing team started clearing out a little bit, which sort of exacerbated the walkover, and it wasn't really until the 4th base here that they actually managed to get some sort of resistance to stop us. This is one of the routes that I like taking towards the crate here, and 95% of the time you'll find that they're really not expecting you to be here. These two guys, completely clueless. They're not expecting an attacker to appear from behind them, because as far as they're concerned, there's no way behind them from there. That's a route that I use quite a lot, and I've destroyed many crates there through using that little cut through. You can rewind the video back a little bit and see what I did to do it. It's a little fiddly, but it's quite achievable, and best of all, no one is expecting it. For this game itself, I actually started out as the Assault class. Assault and Bad Company 2 is my preferred class, but through many kit switches I ended up with many different weapons, like a kit switch to a XM8 LMG from one of the guys that didn't even know I was there from before, and a bit earlier on in the game where I was just kit switching randomly. That is one thing I really enjoy about Bad Company 2, is the fact that you can switch weapons near instantaneously, which has saved my backside so many times. In Battlefield 3 it's not as smooth and it seems to take a while, and it sort of takes away from the pace of the game a little bit. I don't want this really fast shooter, a Quake style shooter, but I want stuff like weapon switches to be really quick, because it's quite difficult to change weapons in the middle of a firefight and kill an enemy, let alone when it takes 5 minutes for the guy to bend down, pick up the rifle, think, yeah, I'll have that, and I'll just put this down. By that time you've been shot like 6 or 7 times. It's definitely one thing that I really miss from Bad Company 2 when I do play Battlefield 3, that's for sure. This map itself, Valparasio, isn't my first choice of playing Rush. The server rotated onto Valparasio. It's quite a popular Rush map for some reason that I'm not quite sure of. It's not a terrible map, it's just some of the bases are placed at very odd parts, like the A and B crate here. B crate's not so hard to get, but A crate is near impossible, unless you've got a team that is willing to take a bit of a pasting getting there. And a lot of games where you get past the first base end up finishing here because it's really quite hard to actually take it. What I did here was I actually ran all the way back because we were coming up against a bit of a blockade, and picked up the helicopter hoping that a few guys would actually spawn in it and sort of drop out and over, get a couple of guys behind the lines, create a bit of havoc, and see where we went from there. If I'd been on my own in the helicopter, I probably would have just out of bounded it and bailed out and did something, tried to do something. But as a couple of guys did spawn in, I thought, I can't really bail out of this. One of the things that I do when I do bail out of vehicles, especially helicopters, if your team are getting absolutely stonewalled at a base like this, I do get in a helicopter and I do take it over their base, and if there's no one in with me, I do bail out. But as I bail out, I make sure that I put the vehicle in out of bounds so that the defenders can't get to it, because the last thing I want to do is give defenders a Black Hawk where they can rain death from above and we can't really do an awful lot about it. As well as having the upper ground, in terms of where the base is here, they'd also have a Black Hawk, and that would pretty much make it impossible to do. Those of you who have been subscribed to me a while will notice that I use the shotguns quite a lot. I am a huge shotgun fan on Bad Company 2. Nothing says badass like an 870 at close range. One of the things that really annoy me about Bad Company 2 and shotguns is the hit detection, which on some servers you can go on some days and it'll be fantastic. You'll have a really enjoyable game, everything will work as it's meant to work, and you'll think, yeah, now I see why I use these. And then other days you'll pop on servers and you will hit a guy like 3 times point blank range and do 5% damage, and you'll just be sat there thinking to yourself, why am I using these again? They're quite inconsistent, and it's one of the things that has frustrated me considerably about Bad Company 2. And after playing Battlefield 3 and also using shotguns in Bad Company 1, I am thinking that maybe it's something to do with how Frostbite handles shotguns. I can't think of anything else. Shotgun hit detection in Bad Company 1 was iffy, and hit detection in Bad Company 2 is equally as dodgy, and in Battlefield 3 it seems to be off as well. I don't know why that is, but that's 3 games of 3 recent Battlefield games where the hit detection seems a bit balmy on shotguns, and one of the things that they all have in common is they all use Frostbite. So perhaps it's the way that Frostbite manages the weapons, or maybe the netcode perhaps. But there's something about the last few games that have made shotguns a little awkward to use, and as a heavy shotgun user it is quite frustrating, and one of the many things that I wanted fixed so bad in Bad Company 2, and for them to check out in Battlefield 3, and hopefully eventually we'll get working shotguns that work right every time. What I actually did for this video is I usually put up uncut footage, but what I did here is this game itself was actually 25 minutes long, and I edited out the bits that were a bit pedestrian, where I walk for 5 minutes and get shot by a sniper in the middle of nowhere, or I go back for a helicopter or something like that. What I did was I removed parts that were pedestrian and quite slow to shorten the video down a little bit, so I wouldn't have to talk for 25 minutes, because I'd probably run out of things to say after 15. But all my other videos will still be uncut. The Battlefield uncut ones will still be uncut, so that'll include the 5 minutes I spent running back to get a helicopter and everything else like that. But for commentary purposes, I've shortened this video down and basically just included the best bits, if you like, the most important bits of the game, such as here going to arm crates and everything else like that. I did play Bad Company 2 quite a lot on the PS3 and Xbox 360 for a long time actually, and it's not been that long since I've really started playing it for the PC. I did buy Bad Company 2 for the PC the day it came out, but my problem with it was that Bad Company 2 requires quite a decent PC, and my PC was not decent, and I was barely keeping sort of 20-30 frames a second, which I should have known really, but it wasn't a very enjoyable experience. But after sort of upgrading bits and bobs and then just completely rebuilding a new PC, I thought I'd go back to it, and it plays fantastic now. The game is so smooth on my computer, and the PC version just feels better. It's hard to describe why, but it feels like Bad Company 2 should have felt on the consoles. Everything's just so fast, and aside from the shotguns, very, very responsive. Oh, the game's almost over, so I'm going to head off and leave you to watch the remaining bit of the video. I'd like to thank you for watching and listening. Please do check my channel for more Battlefield content, as well as the legendary playthrough that I'm currently doing, and have a great day. Thanks for listening.